half. And then the community could.
Kia ora koutou, welcome back to our council meeting. Let's get stuck into 8.6. Welcome back.
Yep.
Annual plan consultation approach.
Yep. So I take the paper as read. I guess what it does highlight is what are the sort of the trigger points that would result in the consultation needing to take place. And I guess we've covered all the areas where, I mean, the significant change, I guess, of the annual plan against the corresponding year in the LTP. What would be the triggers for that? And I guess it's the main driver would be whether there's any material change in the level of service, or any sort of deviations from our significance and engagement policy and revenue and finance policies. And having a look at all that, we believe that there would be no major change with regards to, and the topic of this paper is really the reduction of the recovery funding of the depreciation on waters and taking that down from 100% down to 50%. We don't see that as a material change in the level of service, and don't believe a consultation will be triggered by us going down that path.
If I could add, Mark had also reached out to our auditor from Audit New Zealand and shared this paper with the auditor just to confirm that our assessment of the risks was appropriate, and our auditor has confirmed that it appears we're taking into account the right things, the significance engagement, our policies, our revenue and financing policy, and as Mark pointed out, the fact that there's no material change to levels of service to the community.
So welcome any questions. If anyone's got any questions on the paper itself?
No questions? I've just got something I just wanted to highlight just for the community if they might read this, because they might take this sentence the wrong way. And it's on, so I'll just find what page it is, 94. And it's just the paragraph that talks about council's decisions to join the Wairarapa Taurua Water Services entity. Just the last sentence says any surplus depreciation reserves council held at this point would also transfer the new entity. I just want to, because we should put in there any surplus depreciation 3 waters reserves or associated with
Correct.
3 waters, rather than, because to me that could be all our reserves.
No, just water.
Yeah.
Water related.
Yeah.
Good point.
Not Carrington Park reserves.
No.
Yes, go on.
So if we have no further questions or discussion, we've got 2 recommendations. I'll take the first one, and that's that we receive the report. Do we have a mover? Seconder. Councillor Newman and Deputy Mayor, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And the number 2 is I'm happy to move that we resolve that the draft annual plan 2026-2027 does not contain any significant or material difference from year 3 of the long-term plan 2024-2034, and therefore in accordance with section 95/2 or -2 and 95/2A, consultation is not required. However, information will be provided to the community regarding the content of the plan following adoption. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Round, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Easy.
It was easy for you.
Your time will come.
Well, it was a navigation for us.
Thank you, Mark. 8.7, review of actions arising from the Chief Ombudsman's report on council meetings and workshops.
Happy to lead this, Your Worship. Again, conversations come up recently with new council as to our management of both meetings, committees and advisory groups, and whether or not those live streams, whether they're recorded, whether we have those public excluded or not. One of the things I've asked the team for and have asked David to join the meeting for is to the cost of those options for council, and also noting that some of our neighbouring councils have dedicated rooms and dedicated facilities which provide for this, which we obviously don't. We have a mixed use room that's used for a variety of things. I'm more than happy to take questions based on the report in front of me.
Thanks, Jeff. Questions?
Sorry, Jim.
Oh no, great, no.
Look on faces.
Shall I sound? Shall I sound?
I'm just thinking around where the corrections can be directed. Yeah, I'd just like to understand a little bit more about the cost associated with doing a YouTube recording live off our setup we have here.
Yeah.
Can you explain why it's just not a push of a button type situation?
It's not push a button because of the need for an intermediate streamer that is configured up to speed to YouTube, and it requires different protocols than the Teams just does straight out the box. It also means that you can double check your audio, and it helps fit in with the YouTube security policies on data being just shot straight up into the environment. So actually, it's not just a case of uploading a video. There's actually a different section of the HTTP where you actually have to set up streaming feed URL, plus a few other details about it, whether it's children friendly and stuff if they get signed up on it, which is why it's not just what it reaches out, but it is on YouTube. That's the whole side of it. So where we're just talking, where we feed the Teams into it, that's just really a cost of a couple of extra PCs to sort out, configure it, and get it actually working. The core software itself is actually open source. They run out of the same license client.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the larger one, where you look at Masterton, they have a full dedicated room, totally separate camera, all bits and desks, which they bought in from, I've forgotten his surname, Toby, his company on the side of it. We have learned a lot when put this report together and stuff like that. Masterton are stopping doing their live streaming at the moment. Once they're moving locations that they're going to be looking at another stand in their new chamber as well. We are closer to what South by Iraq were doing. We couldn't at the time get the exact information of it, but that's more because South by Iraq had outsourced their entire IT division.
Right.
And I need to be speaking to them, but in that case, the consultancy rate that 90C consultancy can be trying to get it all set up. Just for a few things to get to the line.
Thank you.
Further questions, discussion? I'm happy to, just with the recommendation 3, for me personally, and I'm not sure how Jeff feels about this, I consider those sessions to be, we can raise all sorts of topics during them, and I don't feel the need to create an agenda, a public agenda for the public to see what we're discussing in those. I'm not sure on your thoughts on those, Jeff.
That wasn't my plan either.
If we do that, we're going to have another lot of sessions.
There has to be some time where we can raise things that need to be, I guess, kept exclusive in this room, and I don't see the need to create an agenda for that. Okay.
I've got a question.
It's Newman.
Page 100, talking about the use of AI to take minutes. the minutes that we had at the start of this meeting, is that an example of ones taken using AI? And are they all like checked by humans as well?
I will answer the second question first. And yes, they are all checked by humans before they come back to us. But no, at this stage, the minutes are from actually generated from the Info Council pack that you get in your agenda. And it is essentially the recommendation section from each of the reports that is drawn into and creates the individual minutes. So it already produces the minutes itself. Where we augment the minutes with a conversation or a discussion, or we want to, there is a division of vote and we need to record that, then Robin and the Dem Services team will do that. But at this stage, no, we're not. The minutes that we're getting now are just straight from the reports.
Okay.
You read.
So when it talks about recently CDC commenced using an AI application for recording meetings and providing meeting summaries.
Yes.
This will be very useful and save time with minute taking. What is the situation that would?
So that the management team and I are using that for our internal management meetings.
Like council meetings?
We're not using that for council meetings at the moment. Obviously, we would need your permission to do that, but we are using it internally, and it's very good for managing our internal meetings.
Well, it is good for workshops, summary of what
Yes.
workshop. We're
Okay.
using it for, we have some workshops. But,
Yep.
and also good as a record if, say, for example, there's a lot of discussion on a matter, it can help summarize it down into a paragraph. It does good summaries,
Okay.
which obviously get checked.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that whole recording that AI has taken of the whole meeting or with whoever it is that then sucked up into the ether, or is it security? I don't know the words.
If we've got IT questions, maybe you should come and join us. It is obviously, I think your question might be leading towards, is it discoverable?
Yeah. Well,
And the answer is yes.
right.
David will answer, is it secure? I'll answer, is it discoverable?
Everything's discoverable, right?
And the short story is everything's discoverable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So on the security side and approach, the service we're using, and it's not just with throwing stuff into Copilot and spitting stuff back or whatever. This is from a Christchurch company called Contented AI, which takes meeting note, sort of transcription or audio stuff, and uploads it into Australian or New Zealand-based data centers, covering that sort of thing. They're heavily focused on the privacy side and ensuring also consent, because recording a meeting is supposed to give active consent for everybody in the meeting to be aware of it. So there's a lot of that in front of it. Their customer base includes medical, other councils. It did spin out from a tool for journalists to make council meetings more interesting. Was its initial scope, and it's expanded out from that one. But yeah, they've got a high, strong focus on ensuring that the environment is secure to the normal standards, as you might expect, but also to the level that is expected from the Privacy Act and all the other stuff about location of data, as well as whether it can actually be found on the network.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything like do a recording of a meeting in the videos or anything. It does an audio recording, but then that's in a restricted area. And it's actually so restricted, not everyone in the council can say, get to it from a staff point of view. There's levels of security behind that.
Out of interest, how many people view it? Do you know? Do you keep stats on?
My dad.
It's just a live stream.
The live stream, it's in the report. It's interesting.
Many. Race's dad refreshes it 13 times.
So page 99, our YouTube stats are, how many times they're live streamed. So the council meeting on the 10th of December was viewed 37 times. 36
That's also
by Grace.
recording of them.
Yeah. It's not unique visits in.
We also find that some of those views are staff, where they have had a report that has gone up of the area or of interest, and they've gone and viewed the council meeting. So obviously I or you,
Mhm.
or governance. So, you know, there is a lot of internal use as well as some external use, but it'd be fair to say that we aren't the most interesting
We're not gonna-
thing on YouTube.
Netflix don't need to be worried just yet.
I'm not offering us any money.
Unlikely to monetize it.
That could be a good business idea.
Lump sum.
Does anyone have any thoughts on the advisory group meetings? I'm a little bit wary of uploading those to YouTube just because we're asking people from our community to come in and speak around the table, and I don't want us to suddenly scare them off and then those people don't turn up anymore. I mean, we're in the position that we are in, so we should have that expectation of we're going to be up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we want to put that onto our advisory group members.
I don't know the answer to this. Are the advisory groups recorded?
Do we
No.
record?
I know,
I
there
don't.
was a discussion a year ago.
I don't think that.
Question that Steve had, that the community may not be happy, you know?
Yeah.
So we had never recorded advisory groups.
Because I totally agree with putting them out publicly. They might have issue with it. In terms of having, if you're in an advisory group and something happens in the meeting, you might want a recording of it to then look back to and say, hey, this was what
Who
happened.
said what?
Yeah. And so I just wonder, in terms of recording for a record of it, there's a different level of
But
privacy.
but not on the public domain.
Yeah, but not in the public domain. Yeah, something for the advisory groups to maybe decide.
Themselves, and still
Yeah.
make sure you've got the consent of everybody
Yeah.
recording it.
That's where contented comes in, the AI. I mean, I think their use is will primarily be, you know, workshops and advisory groups.
Yeah.
Quite good meeting summaries.
Yeah, and that's probably sufficient.
But you still have to do the permission from the advisory group
Yeah.
before you do the actual recording.
Okay.
Cool.
No further questions, discussion? We've got 6 recommendations to work through. We'll just start with one. I'm happy to move. We received the report. Do we have a seconder? Deputy Mayor, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Recommendation 2. Does not agree to uploading advisory group meetings to YouTube. I'm happy to move that. Do we have a
If we agree not to agree or something, is that how it goes? What's the actual motion?
It does not agree to uploading.
Right.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Newman. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Recommendation 3. Let's take
Very
point
aye.
1. Agrees to continuing the practice of not producing publicly excluded agendas and minutes of the chief executive and mayor's sessions. We have a mover in a second.
I'm going to move that.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Councillor Gallen, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. This is probably the most important one that's just disappeared. 4, either agrees to continue making council meetings available to the public through a Teams link and also uploading to YouTube, or 2, agrees to implement option that should be D for live streaming of council meetings.
No, but there were still options on the options, right?
They were.
On the
Option X was in,
I'm following the recommendation.
okay.
So do we have anyone who's prepared to move one of those?
I'll move that we agree to continue making council meetings available to the public through a Teams link and uploading to YouTube.
Do we have a seconder for that? I'm happy. Councillor Casey, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Agrees that if the status quo of recommendation 4, 1 is chosen, only workshops with identified public interests are uploaded to YouTube. Otherwise, they will be made available on request. I'm happy to move that. Seconder, Councillor Casey, all in favour? Against? Carried. And 6, confirms any other changes to planned actions in response to the Chief Ombudsman's report in 2023 on workshops and his recommendations to councils.
The chance. I have to think about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was actually saying.
I'm not sure what we are confirming. I suspect that it's the last recommendation on the report. It's that perhaps we could change that to note.
Yeah.
The other recommendations and planned actions in the Chief Ombudsman's report, because we have already discussed that at the council meeting.
Have you got that minor change, Robin? I'm happy to move that. We have a seconder.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, David.
Thank you for the report, even though we didn't go with the option.
That's all right.
I know we've been asking about it for a while.
To take it personally. It's a whole workload, so.
Yeah,
He's actually not upset.
nice to know the cause.
8.8. Sol, combined Wairarapa District Plan Review, Joint Committee Appointment.
Thank you, Your Worship. Deputy Mayor, elected members, this is a reasonably grunty report, but I'm hoping we managed to set out the reasons why the report is coming, basically being that the district plan is at a point where we are needing to resolve appeals, and following the local government elections, committees are discharged until they're re-established. So the previous committee was established to work through the plan process, the notification, deliberate on the submissions. That has all closed now and the appeal phase is kicking in. And as such, we think the best option is appointing a new panel to determine the appeals. It does have that, it needs that governance oversight. It shouldn't just be an officer-led panel. We're there to advise. There is a number of recommendations in here, and one that I do want to touch on is having that appointing an independent chair through the plan process. That worked really well, and we went through a selection process, and having a very experienced commissioner as an independent chair that has no interest in the Wairarapa or the decisions being made, I thought worked incredibly well, because they were able to look at the issues without the emotion or that Wairarapa lens, and actually, this is a consequence. If you adopt this, this is a potential policy. It was quite a specialised role, and we had David McMahon do that, and he was a very, very good leader for the team, and I'm sure Councillor Della would agree on that. David and his team and the work they put together and the decisions really assisted the committee. What is exciting about this phase of the process is that the appointees do not need to be certified with the Making Good Decisions Commissioner training to hear this. However, my recommendation on your note, recommendation 2, number 7, is I have suggested that we, the elected members, Carterton District Council, does look at least appointing Councillor Della, because I think it is necessary to have some of that knowledge of how they got to those decisions there, and the knowledge of the plans and the objectives and the policies and the strategic direction of that plan, to be able to guide those conversations about the appeals and whether there's movement on it, whether we stick to our guns. But there is also the opening to have one of the new elected members or one of the existing returning elected members on that committee as well. So I think I could probably leave it there, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Sol. Questions, team? Brian, you have a question?
Yeah, not so much a question, but I just want to endorse what Solitaires said about our independent chair, David McMahon. He was excellent. I found him very good to deal with. And as Solitaires said, he had unbiased opinions the whole way, and dug deep when he needed to dig deep. So yeah, it would be my recommendation to nominate him again. I am quite happy to carry on with where I left off, and as Solly said, the experience and how the plan all went together and everything. I think I've got a lot to contribute to carry that on. And as to the other replacement, I'd just ask a question of Solitaire or Jeff that is Robin Cherry Campbell still eligible to stand or not? Because I know she has indicated that she would, if possible. Thank you.
There is no reason this council cannot choose to appoint an independent person to represent them, but that is a decision of council.
So that's it.
Thanks for that.
Segue. Thanks, Brian. I know we have had discussion around the table at different points, and we have two members of this, two elected representatives who are actually going to be doing training, and they're making good decisions.
Yep.
Training, and it's my suggestion that Councillor Burns is nominated alongside Brian, and Councillor Round is the alternate member, as to the two that are doing the making good decisions courses. I think it'd be good experience, even though this is coming to an end. I still think being part of it would be good experience. So I'm not sure of other thoughts around the table.
Cool.
Awesome.
And
So-
can I just add that because this is a council committee, the mayor is also ex officio, so does have the right to attend any of these meetings as well.
I just had a question. Has this paper gone to our neighbouring councils yet? Have they indicated that the committee's set to be stood up?
The exact same recommendations are going to all three councils. I believe it's an MDC meeting
Today and South Wairarapa tomorrow.
Right. Thank you.
Obviously, I'm doing the Making Good Decisions course next month. So I'd be really happy to participate in the joint committee, although I acknowledge, obviously, I don't have the experience of the plan, but hopefully Brian could provide a little bit of mentoring as needed, and I can, ask your advice if I need, Brian.
A thumbs up.
Yeah, more than happy to introduce you to it, Jane, and mentor you through it. It would be a privilege for me to do that for you and anybody else that wants to go through that course.
Fantastic. Right, any further questions or discussion on that? There's a few recommendations there. Thanks, Sol. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through to 2.11. Is
2.6.
it 2. Yeah, it is. It's 2.6. That's my Roman numerals for you, Jeff. Thank you. So we'll go through to 2.6. If everyone's okay with that, I'm going to move. You want me to read all those?
Yeah.
It's getting dark.
Thanks.
Anyway, so
I'm going to take recommendation 1 and recommendation 2 to 2.6 as read and move those. Do I have a seconder? Second. Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. All in favour? Against? Carried. And recommendation 2.7 appoints the following councillors as the Carden District Council members to the Joint Committee. Councillor Brian Della and Councillor Jane Burns.
I'll move.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Newman. All in favour? Against? Carried. And 2.8 appoints the following councillor as the alternate member of the Joint Committee to cover the absence of one of the appointed members. and that will be councillor Rachel Round. I'm happy to move that. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, councillor Gallen. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And recommendation 3.
And just before we get to that, there was some discussion about the appointment of an independent
chair.
chair. That's not in these recommendations.
It's up to the
That up
committee,
to
isn't
the
it?
committee.
That will be up to the committee to do that.
Okay.
And that is to
It comes under
2-4.
3, where you're delegating the powers and functions and duties under the first sheet, so that will provide the committee the powers to appoint an independent chair.
I hate to think we've forgotten.
So recommendation 3, in accordance with section 34 of the Resource Management Act 1991, the Carlton District Council delegates to the Wairarapa Combined District Plan Joint Committee all its functions, powers and duties under the first schedule to the Act. I'm happy to move. Seconder? Councillor Round, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. So,
Thank you. Well done.
8.9, appointments to 2 external advisory groups.
Are you picking up all of Jerry's workload? She's written a lot of papers this time and then this keeps me fit, written off into the sunset.
Having taken the paper as read, I guess we were reliant, we were waiting for the GRWC board to make a decision regarding the appointments to the respective advisory groups. They have done so. And yep, it's sets it out in the paper. So open to any questions with regards to the committees and up to councillors to elect to the appropriate committees.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. Brian, just a question for you. As a existing, or you were a member on each of those advisory groups, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to continue on them all if needed. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Do we have any? I'm the other, or I was the other elected member on the Upper Ruamahanga advisory group. I don't mind continuing in that if someone else wants to go to that. And
It's not a rush of.
okay.
Continuity is
Should have
great.
had another option there, status quo. So do we have any discussion around that?
You guys doing a great job.
Okay, so let's move to the recommendation. I move that we, or confirms the following Greater Wellington Regional Council appointments for the term of this triennium. The Upper Ruamahanga Advisory Group, Councillor Della and Mayor Brittany, and the Waiahine Advisory Group, Councillor Della. Seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Round. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. That was quick. And 8.10, governance statement 2025-2028.
So post the triennial election, there's a governance compliance to develop a governance statement for the triennium term, 2025-28, and that's included in the attachment 1. Open to any questions.
Remember this in the last triennium. That doesn't mean a lot, but what did it come to council?
I think it was in our first meeting.
It was in your first meeting,
Yeah.
and I can confirm that because we recycled this paper from that meeting into this one. And obviously, we didn't need the use of AI to just copy paste, but we have refreshed it. You know, and Jerry has been through the governance statement. Accordingly, I jest, but it was approved in the last training.
A comment on it, just to prove that I read it. Page 133, it says the decision on the system of voting will be made prior to the next election in 2025.
Yeah.
I noticed it down, okay.
I think it's
And
just
it's not
it's
been-
been recited.
I think the
It's been
copy paste
updated.
function.
Copy paste.
Because it comes about every 6 years, so that shouldn't even be 2028. It should be the one after it, because I don't think we're doing a representation review for
31.
31. Yeah, I think it's got to. It's you are correct. It's definitely not 25. Thank you.
We're looking after that.
Thank you.
recommendation.
Um,
Deputy Mayor?
My only comment was, I found on page 148, the council departments list really helpful as a summary of all the things that we are responsible for. I just thought that's quite an interesting relation, because there's so many different things that we have to remember, and it's nice to have it in one tidy place. That was my take out of that paper. Just to prove I read it.
We need to get a life race.
Rightio.
Just one other one. I'm not sure, this could be correct, I'm not sure, but just page 134, Maori wards and constituencies, 6.2. Just the last paragraph there, the decision to establish a Maori ward must be made by 12 September, 2 years before the next election. Just checking if that's correct.
Yes, it is.
That's correct. Okay.
Yes, yeah, it takes a long time to go through the process,
All right, cool.
because it changes the general makeup of the ward and the electoral roll.
I thought we'd made that decision and it was done, but we can review
You
it.
could
You make it do
Ah,
it again.
okay. I didn't realise.
in
Again.
two cycles. Yeah. Which will probably come into discussion depending on what happens with amalgamation too.
So that'll be before the next election,
2028.
2 cycles, yep. Yep.
Okay. Further questions, discussion? We have two recommendations there. I'm happy to take them both together, that we receive the report, and two, adopts the updated governance statement 2025 to 2031 as required by section 40 of the Local Government Act 2002. Maybe to move it, and the seconder. Councillor Burns, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, Mark. 8.11, updated Wellington Regional Training Agreement 2025.
Thank you, Your Worship. The triennial agreement is a joint committee under the Local Government Act, and it is something that we are required to do, but the triennial agreement has traditionally been rotated. The secretariat of the triennial agreement has traditionally rotated amongst the councils. Last triennium, it was Carterton's turn. I clearly did a bad job because they've decided that Greater Wellington are going to pick it up for now moving forward. What has changed between the last triennium and this one is mostly around the secretariat and that function that will be provided by Greater Wellington on behalf of all the councils to run the committee. Other than that, it's the same as last time, and I'm very happy to recommend it to council.
Thanks, Jeff. Deputy Mayor.
So just to clarify, us agreeing to this triennial agreement, is that us agreeing to continuing in these joint committees as well? So I had heard when we had our last combined Wairarapa council meeting, there was talk about us potentially not continuing in a couple of those meetings that were over the hill that were just very Wellington centric, and what was the benefit of the Wairarapa being there. There seemed to be an appetite across a couple of our neighbouring councils to not be part of I think it was the Regional Leadership Committee.
Yes.
Is us agreeing to this agreement separate to that?
Separate to your participation in a joint committee.
Great.
which is- So we are required to do this under the Local Government Act for the regions to work together collectively, which is why we've got a triennial agreement.
Yeah.
The Wellington Regional Leadership Committee is a separate agreement, and you can choose not to participate.
My only question. Thank you.
Further questions? Any discussion? If not, we have one recommendation. And that is that we confirm the updated Wellington Region Training Agreement 2025. Move it in a second. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Burns, all in favour? Against?
If you'd like, I could do this.
Carried. 8.12, council submissions on proposed legislation.
Is we have previously agreed with council, the timeframe of central government submissions is awkward with council meetings. So what we have done is circulated our submissions to councillors via email, received feedback, lodged the submission within the timeframe of central government, and then brought the submissions to council to ratify so that they are publicly available to the community to show what we have done. I would also note that all submissions that are lodged with government are also publicly available on the Beehive website, but it is just worthwhile being transparent. So the two submissions that we've done two submissions, I think.
One's feedback.
Yes, and one of them with feedback, there's 4 attachments are all included here. So I think one of them is looking for feedback on the simplifying local government proposal, if there is any.
Thanks, Jeff. Questions? Comments? Recommendations?
Just in terms of submissions and governance role, like in the 2 that went up, there's been minor involvement from councillors. Is it supposed that the council, the elected members, are supposed to sign off on a submission or not?
It is a statement from council. It's not a statement from staff. So we circulate those responses. We usually start with Local Government New Zealand and Taituara and other agencies, sometimes agencies who have made or got significant interest in the area, and we'll pull pieces out of their submission and draw it into ours where we think that aligns with council's view. And that's why we circulate it via email to give you feedback, as this is what we think aligns with our council's direction. And then we bring them up for you for ratification. But
we don't
be
vote on
your
it.
views.
We don't vote on it, right?
No. Well, where there is inconsistency between one individual elected member's views and the intent of what we've heard the intent of council, I will defer to the mayor and the deputy mayor for final confirmation on the submission.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, submissions are sort of a form of policy, really, aren't they? And elected members are the responsibility to be involved in that.
That's right. So where there is any question, I'll check with the mayor and deputy on before it's lodged.
Have we got other proposals, submissions coming up that you're aware of?
There's a lot of legislation, and at this stage, we've decided we aren't submitting on a significant portion of it. So Resource Management Act is
that's really
absolutely enormous changes occurring in there. We don't feel that Cardigan has a sufficiently clear view or a vested interest in a lot of those changes, and that the regional council are probably better placed to make that submission for us. In addition, we really haven't got the time or the horsepower from a relatively small planning team to wade through the proposals of RM reform and then lodge submissions on it. So,
and then there's the other thing is who will pay attention to it, because they get a ton of submissions.
And in some cases, government's even indicated they're using AI to read submissions and summarise them. So,
And well, the other thing too, though, is that this is where the value of local government and what's the other group that council staff are involved in?
tied to our.
Yeah, yeah. In a way, they really, I guess, should be operating on our behalf. We only really put submissions in where it's directly affecting us.
We find Taituara tend to be less political, more interested in efficiencies and the legislation.
No further questions, discussion? Okay, that makes it easy. I'm going to take, let's do them individually. Recommendation 1, ratifies CDC's submission to the Department of Internal Affairs on the rates target model proposal on 4th February 2026. We have a move, we have a second. Deputy Mayor, all in favour? Against? Carried. And recommendation 2, approve CDC's submission on the simplifying local government proposal to be formally lodged with government before 20th of February 2026. We have a mover and a second. Councillor Burns, Councillor Gallen, all in favour?
What would be the effect if we voted against that? Because they've already gone in.
No, the second one has not.
Oh, right, okay. Not that I'm changing my mind.
It's a good question.
Sorry. All those in favour? We had a mover and a seconder. I don't think there was a vote.
Didn't get to that. Thanks you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 8.13. Local water done well update. How's getting there?
I might have left the office too early.
Come on, you've enjoyed
I
it.
just got in the car and thought, need to be somewhere else.
We understand.
Really wanted to listen to Destination Widened Up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to look for that book in the bookshop. Cool. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for having me along. So this is a new sort of update, quarterly update that I'm going to come along and do over the course of the next 18 months, just to talk you through where we're up to with the Wairarapa Tararua water program. So I think last time I was here was in your induction in December. We've made really good progress since then. We have built out our program team, so we've got almost a full contingent for the work going forward. We're well advanced in our board recruitment process, just coming to the end of, done 10 of those interviews, just coming to the end of that process. So we're really nicely on track to complete the first stage of the program by the end of March, which was our planning assumption, which is awesome. In the update here, I've just provided a bit of an overview about each of the key work areas that we will be progressing work in over the next 18 months, and just giving you a bit of a summary on where we're at on each of those. So I'm happy to take any questions on that or any details that you're interested in.
Thank you. Questions? Discussion? Deputy Mayor? No, you're just stretching.
Yeah, I would like to hear. There's been whispers that there may be cost implications that are looking a bit scarier than we had initially thought. Are you able to talk through any potential changes to budgets or things that are red flags for you at this point?
So I think probably the main thing is we don't have a full view of the costs yet. There are some, as we go through planning and scoping the work, we're getting clearer on that. But there are still some pieces of it that are probably the more significant costs in the program. And that's mainly kind of around the digital piece. So what we are really doing at the moment is preparing to give some advice to the incoming board around how we, what the options are available to them. What happens
what the decision they take really has a large bearing on the cost at that point, but that's kind of really their decision about whether they want us to progress down, for argument's sake, using council systems for a period of time. What's the company using council systems for a period of time, which obviously has some implications for councils, but is a lower cost option versus a more significant build of new systems in order for the company to be able to kind of stand alone. So there are still some decent choices that will affect the budget. Once we have a good view of those, we'll be able to come back and to talk through any implications of that for the overall cost.
And that's a decision that entirely the board makes. That doesn't come back to councils at this point. It's all in their court.
We discussed that as the CE group, and we thought, the future of this entity is in the board's hands, and what we don't want to do is make a whole lot of decisions and set them up and then go, surprise, here it is. So given that the appointments for the board are, weeks away, we thought it was best to just hang fire and let them make that decision.
Certainly appreciate we've got to keep a tight eye on the budget and make sure that we're managing that well. But we are kind of at quite a critical point in the process where the decision maker is changing on a number of things, and the direction in which they choose to go has a bearing on not just the work that we do, but the cost of that work as well.
Any further questions, discussion? Brian, I had one for you, just around the interviews of the board, and it was going to take place in the first half of February. I'm just wondering how that's gone, and are you confident that we're going to have a strong board leading us forward?
Thank you, Steve. As Catherine said, we've conducted 10 interviews so far. Very high quality / caliber of applicants. A lot of them hold directorships already on boards all over New Zealand, and there's even one from Australia. So we've got one more interview to do, which is it's not until I think early March. Is that right, Catherine? I think.
Yes. 6th March.
And from there we will have face-to-face interviews with a smaller panel and go from there. But very happy with the caliber and all sorts of talents, from accountants to financiers, lawyers, and practical engineer type people that have been there, done that. So it's really good. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Catherine, in terms of compensation, how's that set for board members?
Sure, if you like. Yep.
We had Sheffield who are doing the recruitment, and we asked them to undertake a comparison of director roles, size of the organisation, expected duties, etc. They came up with recommendations based on the market, and we've accepted those recommendations.
Are they doing it for other entities as well? Right. Is it sort of population based?
It's more risk based and skills based. So it's about what is required from the directors and the responsibilities that they will take.
And size of the company balance sheet and the scale of the assets and things that they're managing. So where they've landed us is in a place that's comparable with other transitions of similar sort of scale. There are some higher fees for some of the larger companies in the metros, but we've landed in a place that's comparable with other companies at this size.
And what about accountability? Because like with what we've seen with Wellington Water, if a disaster occurs, is accountability, I assume, written into their contracts?
I think the big difference is Wellington Water don't own the asset. They don't own the revenue. They don't set the budget for the maintenance or the renewal or the capital plan. They are essentially a
facilities manager.
A facilities manager for 5 entities. And that provides significant issues where you are tasked to go and repair a leak, and it's the second or the third time that you've gone to repair the leak, but you have no budget to replace the entire length of pipe. If that were our team, they would know that they've been there twice before and they would replace the entire stretch of pipe because that's what a good asset manager would do. But they don't have budget and certainly don't have delegation to do that, so they repair the leak again. And I do feel for Wellington Water staff who have that restriction placed on them that they don't own the asset, they don't have the revenue, and they don't have delegation to make decisions that, as asset owners, we would probably made a different decision had we been there.
Right. Okay. But it's still, being paid to be responsible as such, and there's a service level agreement is there between council and because we're the shareholders, right? So. This has probably been discussed before, but I'm just sort of wanting to get a bit refreshed on it.
Yeah, so the main lever that you have as a shareholder is through the statement of expectations.
Yeah.
Which we will, after we've finished the board interview process, we'll begin that development of that statement with the stakeholders forum. So Councillor Della will be involved in that. That will come back to this table for adoption and then be issued to the company. There is the option, not the option, there is the opportunity in there to be clear about what your expectations are across a number of different dimensions. You can't direct how the operations are actually carried out, but you can, that is a meaningful accountability tool that we need to make sure we shape up in a way that provides you with the collective confidence that you need. The other dimension of this that's new and doesn't exist in Wellington, well, for Wellington Water and Wellington councils at the moment is economic regulation is coming. It will be introduced, and the Commerce Commission will be looking at quite a significant set of information and data on asset management practices and financial and non-financial performance, and they will be able to compare that performance across entities across the country. So that again, that's an oversight and accountability tool that isn't in the toolkit at the moment.
Similar to how they do with lines companies.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly the same.
And energy companies.
And in those regulations, the economic regulator won't accept a report unless it's been authorised by the various boards. So there is already that accountability and information disclosure requirement that it had to go to the board for a sign off that is correct and that is the data, and we agree with those performance metrics before they're submitted to the regulator. And I suspect the same is going to occur with the water regulator, which is around water quality. Of those standards, again, will require board sign off that yes, we agree with the metrics that we're saying we have performed at before they're submitted to the regulator. But there will be a stronger accountability through this model.
And how many are on the board?
That's still to be decided, but somewhere between 5 and 7 was the recommendation.
No, that's right.
Just a question on that board, Jeff. Will the stakeholder forum appoint the chair of the board, or will the board appoint the chair of the board?
The stakeholder forum will appoint the chair of the board.
Okay.
Currently in the constitution at the moment, it says the board will appoint the chair, but through the interview processes and the conversations that the forum's been having, they have taken the decision that they want to be the one to make that appointment. So we will be making a change in the constitution to reflect that. And we have good interest in the candidate set in the chair position. So the forum will have some choices there, which is good.
It makes sense to me, especially if you have a number of new board members or board members appointed and they have a lot of other things going on, and there might be one who doesn't, that can truly focus on the chair role. So
yeah,
the stakeholder forum sort that out. Councillor Newman.
Got a semi-related question for Jeff. A while ago, we asked you to seek legal advice about whether there was any option to leave the organisation if we... I know, but are we able to see any legal advice that was sought?
I haven't received anything yet. I will follow up on it. I did follow up early January, but I haven't heard back, so I will follow up on that again.
Okay.
But I haven't received anything yet.
Okay. Once it comes through, can you circulate?
I will, absolutely.
Going to Catherine.
No further questions or discussion? We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive the report. Happy to move that. We have a seconder. Deputy Mayor, all in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Worth waiting for, wasn't it?
Okay, 8.14. We're getting there. Amendments to the Investment Committee Terms of Reference and Statement of Investment Policy and Objectives. And I know who's to blame for this.
Can I speak to this?
I'll let Mark introduce Jeff's going to.
I'm happy to introduce it, but I believe perhaps councillor Lawrence, as the chair of the investment committee, might wish to talk first.
In a small degree of apology, but in terms of how that meeting was chaired, it didn't quite go how I expected. But I guess the point I want to make here is that what Marty Sabaya produced a number of recommendations and amendments, and I'm not 100% sure that the amendments that we have here in the paper accurately reflect what was decided. So I got the minutes on Monday and I've sent them to Marty for comment, really, and I haven't had a reply to that. I don't think this is urgent, so my suggestion is that we defer it to the next council meeting. I don't know if, I mean, clearly there are other people there. I have a recollection of a discussion that Marty raised around the targeted rate of return, whether it needed to be a real rate of return or not.
That's been taken out because it was the initial one says funding in real terms for the community outcomes, and that has been removed when it's been changed.
Real terms was taken.
Yeah.
And the
title's been.
the wordings, I think the wording's quite accurate.
Okay.
So what he suggested, because he did, as set out in the long-term plan, was his.
Yeah.
I was listening to our advice from our
Ericsson's.
yes, and the real terms I thought was quite important in it. So I was a little bit surprised that we were looking at changing and going against their advice. That was, and it was kind of just let go, but I knew that it was coming up to council, so that we would be able to have the discussion anyway as to whether we changed it or not. So do you want more discussion around what the Jeff, you were able to give a little bit more advice around that real terms?
So essentially, what it is attempting to grow above the rate of inflation. And by removing the term in real terms, that means you're only growing at the rate of inflation, or in some cases below the rate of inflation, so your portfolio will erode. I absolutely support Jonathan Erickson in saying that we should be targeting growth in real terms above the rate of inflation. So I would not recommend removing that from your side.
And that was
from our side.
That was my thoughts as well. I didn't think it was wise of us to remove some wording where their advice was to keep it in there. This is up for discussion. It's
agree. I think having real terms in there is important because that's the purpose of it. Otherwise, we just have it sitting in the bank. Yeah, and I think changing the name is fine. Not really.
So if we were to change the second bullet point to put the real terms back in, how exactly would we do that?
We're just going before community outcomes again. Provide funding in real terms for community outcomes as set out in the long-term plan. That's where it was before.
It's slightly different, is to grow the reserve assets, provide funding and
As set out. There.
Yeah, to,
That is-
So we were looking at change, let's go with this. The purpose for it's a long term, we're changing the
Reserve
name of that, aren't we?
Investment Fund.
Has been established is to generate income and grow the reserve assets in real term,
in order to provide funding in real terms for community outcomes as set out in
There
the
you go.
long-term plan.
you read out the whole thing. So Robin can,
Well, it's just the second one.
Yeah.
It's, the second one that's listed there, but we're adding in real terms before for community outcomes.
We're not accepting the proposed deletion of the three words in real terms
Yeah.
in the SIPO under purpose of the fund.
I'm happy to-
Subject to that amendment, are you happy with the recommendations? Which is to approve the updated SIPO and investment terms of reference. Sorry, Chair, I'm asking the Chair of the Investment Committee.
Yes, I am. As I say, I had a slightly broader concept and no one agreed with me, but that's happened before. So the changes we've made somewhat cosmetic.
so we'll take them individually. I move that we receive the report. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Newman, all in favour? Against? And recommendation 2 approves the updated terms of reference and statement of investment policy and objectives.
To the inclusion of in real terms.
Set out in the-
I'm happy to move that.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Newman, all in favour? Carried. Thank you. 8.15. Local government official information and meeting act requests.
Happy to talk to the report, standard report, this one and the next one, just on our Legoimas received. I should include the number of pages that we've issued in Legoimas. Our requests are repetitive. Happy to take questions.
Questions for Jeff? Have any of those that are amongst those, Jeff, been sent a bill?
No, the large Legoima we did towards the end of last year was proactive, so that was our decision.
Yep. No questions?
As a result of the information that was provided to any of the requesters, has there been any further action from the people who provided to? I'm looking at the first one in particular.
On the first one, Nelson Crescent. Do Solitaire, has there been any further action on?
Sent the documentation. They sent all the noise reports. They came in some questions. And those questions were comprehensively answered by Becca and myself, and we've heard nothing further.
Question.
Councillor Newman.
Page 205, is that an accident?
Where's
205.
I was confused too.
It looks pretty.
Whatever it's assessing, it's all very
It's
excellent.
you're doing really well, but is it for us?
yes, it is. So it is, we are introducing new tools to, so we discussed service performance before. We are doing the same thing in Lagoima and service requests. We are looking to monitor how we're performing in these areas. And so this is one of the template reports that we've got that we are looking at introducing. So Jerry has included it here. She did tell me about it, that she had done it. It is just a template report, but we are looking to, this was their assessment of our performance in some of these areas around Lagoima. And yes, it was for you. It will expand out over time and provide more richness to our reporting. It is definitely for you and not an accident.
Okay, cool.
Further questions, discussion? All good? 2 recommendations there. I'm happy to take them together. Receives the report, and 2 notes the results of the Lagoima self-assessment tool. Do you have a mover and a seconder? I'm happy to move. Seconder? Councillor Burns, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, Jeff. And that last, 8.16,
Service requests.
service requests and complaints.
Again, standard report, just keeping you informed about what is going on, service request and our complaints. You take questions. Grace.
The complaint about a council vehicle travelling and nearly colliding, what's the ramification of that kind of complaint?
It would be investigated, so we would log that as we would have investigated. I don't know if you know the specifics of that one, Lawrence, but I presume it's one of the Waters team up at the KIPE. I can find the investigation report.
And that might come to audit and risk next report or something.
If it needs to.
Yeah.
Sometimes the assessment of the speed of the vehicle differs from what the GPS says.
Yeah.
And we do have GPS vehicle tracking, so we will know if the vehicle was in excess of travelling in excess of 100 kilometres an hour.
Right.
The complaint about the weather CDC, that's a weird complaint.
Yes.
It's more of something that should be raised at a probably public forum or something rather than a complaint as such.
Just a summary of a quite extensive complaint.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense then. Thanks, Ed.
Is that off the back of the email that councillors received?
I think
That's the summary of it. Okay. Yeah. Because I thought it was an interesting point where they mentioned the fact that there were an after school program with a bus of kids turning up from Masterton to come to Carterton to use our free pool. It would be interesting to quantify that if that's something that is happening regularly and if there's anything that can be done. I know paying someone to stand there to charge people sort of defeats the purpose of charging people, but it was always known that it was something for the Carterton residents and there's no sort of check on that. Yeah, this it was an interesting email that he sent through.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, I think that was it's along the lines of the things that we've been talking about. We did the council as well. So what he said there was nothing out of, I think, the conversation we had and things that we will look at. In terms of the school holiday programs, we did check in with Bill Brager, and they did say that they are communicating and the school holiday program providers are aware that if we start to see an increase in numbers, that they are first out to allow our community
Councillor Lawrence,
The complaint about burnouts at the intersection take place in Diamond Street. What do we do with that sort of complaint? The reason I ask is that coincidentally, I got a complaint about Frederick Street yesterday. And the only thing I could do was say, should put in a service request and we should get a response. But what have we in fact done with that complaint?
So individually, very little. Where the roading team will use it is where there's a collective lot of complaints coming through on a particular intersection, like we had on Millers Road.
Yes.
They will consider adding additional measures onto that particular intersection, but usually, the car enthusiasts are gone by the time we get there, and it's just a cleanup. So it's more a service request for a cleanup. Where, as I said, as they get lots of them on a particular intersection, we will look at additional measures, mostly cleanup.
Apart from cleanup, is there any maintenance issues that come from it? I mean, does it do a lot of damage to the road?
Depends on the age of the road. So if it's newly sealed, it probably does more damage to the tyres because the chip will be quite sharp and settled into the road, whereas where the road is slightly worse condition and there's a lot of tar towards the top, it will impact the road quite a lot.
So we can clean that tar off as such?
Not easily.
Yeah, I actually think more rubber. The other thing too, though, is a lot of them tend to put diesel on the road as well, don't they? It's part of their burnouts, and that can result in a safety issue.
Yep.
Down Eden Road, obviously the tyres are popped and the rim mark that embedded in the seal. They've actually marked the seal.
But they put crap tyres on their cars anyway to do it.
Yeah. Don't often see the rim marks
No.
in the road.
Yeah.
Is that an issue generally for us or for the police?
They try and do proactive. The groups use closed Facebook accounts, and it's very, very difficult for the police to get into them because they have to know the individual. You've got to know the admin, and the admin has to know who they're letting in, and so it's very difficult for them to get intel on it. It's a very reactive.
Steve Gallen's planning to go undercover.
You've just blown it.
As a 16-year-old.
Mark 140 score races. Sorry, Sue, if you're listening, that's not true. We have any further questions, discussion? We have one recommendation, it's that we receive the report. I'm happy to move. Have a seconder. Deputy Mayor, all in favour? Against? Carried. And item 9, I'm going to move that we move into exclusion of the public. Have a seconder. Councillor Newman, all in favour? Against?